Tonight I want you to imagine this. You blink, and when your eyes open again, you're no longer in your bed scrolling through your phone, waiting to fall asleep. You're standing, barefoot, on the limestone steps of a towering pyramid, deep in the heart of the ancient Mayan Empire. There's no Wi-Fi, no iced coffee, and the sun overhead is so intense it feels like you're being slow roasted for sacrifice. Welcome to a civilization of genius architects, star readers, and blood-soaked rituals. But here's the real question. Could you survive even one day? Probably not. And by the time we finish this journey, you'll understand why. So before the heat takes your breath and the humidity fogs your brain, take a second to dim your lights, find a cozy spot, and let the hum of your fan be your background soundtrack. If you're new here, welcome to our little time-traveling circle of calm chaos. And if you're already one of us, thanks for joining again. Let's begin. Because the jungle waits for no one. You wake up to the sound of drums. Not music. A signal. Your eyes crack open in a smoky hut made from palm thatch and clay. Its walls baked and sweating just like you. It's not even dawn, but the air already feels thick, pressing into your skin like wet fabric. There are no mattresses, only woven mats layered over packed dirt, and you're wrapped in a cotton sheet that's more ceremonial than functional. Your entire body is slick with sweat. And no, the humidity doesn't break here. It just lingers, clinging to every movement like a jealous ghost. Outside, the early sky is tinted with volcanic ash from the last eruption, and birds scream from the canopy like they know something you don't. Your first breath tastes like wood smoke and jungle rot. Forget a cold shower. Water here is fetched in heavy jars from cenotes, deep limestone sinkholes that may or may not be haunted by old gods. The elders whisper stories about spirits in the water, and even if you don't believe them, you step carefully. Nobody wants to be the reason the rain doesn't come this year. There's no privacy in the village. Your neighbors are just a few woven walls away, and every sound, every cough, every splash echoes into shared space. You step out of the hut, barefoot on hot stone, and instantly regret it. The path is gritty with crushed shells and sun-baked sand, sharp enough to remind you that this civilization invented blood rituals before breakfast. And speaking of breakfast, don't get your hopes up. There's no sizzling bacon or steamy bowls of porridge. You're handed a tamale wrapped in a banana leaf, mostly cornmeal, lightly salted if you're lucky. The rich might eat cacao or roasted quail, but you get what's left. Some days it's plantains boiled into a mush. Others, it's dried maize soaked in limestone water. A process meant to make it edible, though it doesn't do much for the taste. While you eat, your neighbor sharpens obsidian tools on a flat stone, eyes still red from last night's smoke-filled ceremony. The sound of grinding obsidian joins the jungle chorus. Howler monkeys in the trees, crickets screaming beneath your feet, and far off, the eerie cadence of ritual chants echoing from the nearest temple. There's always a ceremony in the Mayan world. A birth, a sacrifice, a storm coming in. Everything means something, and everyone is watching the sky for signs. Before you can even finish eating, it's time to start the day's labor. You don't work in an office or run a market stall. You're part of a team maintaining the crop terraces on the steep jungle hillsides. Forget tractors or even decent shovels. You're digging, hauling, planting, and sweating under a sun that seems personally offended by your existence. The soil is rich, but unforgiving. Every step slides. Your back aches by mid-morning, your hands covered in blisters, but there's no stopping. The gods demand productivity. Your village depends on the maize you plant, and the calendar, tracked by astronomer priests in towering observatories, waits for no one. Oh, and speaking of those priests, they're watching. Not with cameras, but through omens, patterns in animal behavior, cloud shapes, star alignments. If a crop fails, someone is to blame. Maybe the fields weren't blessed right. Maybe someone offended a god. Maybe, just maybe, it's your fault. And in a society where divine wrath is real and ritual bloodletting is as normal as brushing your teeth, you don't want to be noticed for the wrong reasons. You labor through the morning, wiping your brow with a scrap of cloth already soaked through. Your feet sting from ant bites. Your stomach growls, but you keep going. There's a sense of rhythm in the work, and for a moment, you lose yourself in it. Until the drum sounds again, this time not from the village, but from the temple mount. Something's happening. A ceremony. Which means you stop everything and walk silently toward the towering stone steps, heart pounding for reasons you don't fully understand. No one speaks. The jungle quiets. Even the insects seem to hold their breath as you climb, slowly, one aching step at a time. The steps beneath your feet are carved from stone, dragged miles through jungle paths by hands just like yours. Hands that bled and blistered and broke in service of something greater than themselves. As you ascend, you notice the edges are worn smooth by generations of bare souls, and the air grows heavier with each level. Smoke curls upward from incense burners, filling your lungs with the bitter scent of burning copal, a resin offered to the gods in hopes of rain, fertility, and mercy. But today there's something sharper in the air, something metallic. You know what it is before you see it. Blood. At the top of the temple, priests in elaborate headdresses move with ceremonial slowness. Their tunics are spotless, their eyes sharp, and their hands trained in rituals so ancient even they don't fully understand them anymore. They don't need to. The script is written in the stars, and their job is to follow it, step by step, like dancers in a performance that has been playing for centuries. The crowd below is silent, every face turned upward, every child held tight. Even the animals in the forest seem to hush, as if the gods themselves are watching. And maybe they are. The victim, no, the offering, is a volunteer, or so they say. Chosen during the last lunar eclipse, he's been fed well, treated like royalty for 13 days and nights, bathed in flower water and anointed with sacred oils. And now, surrounded by chanting priests and stone-faced guards, he kneels willingly, chest bared to the sky, eyes open and unflinching. One final breath, one final glance at the sun, and then the knife, obsidian, sharp as truth, descends. It's quick, efficient, a flash of movement, a sound that's more suggestion than scream, and a heart held high for the heavens to see. The crowd erupts, not in horror but in praise. This is renewal, this is necessity. You want to look away, but you can't. Not because you're fascinated, but because looking away might be seen as disrespect. And in this world, disrespecting the gods is a mistake you don't get to make twice. The ceremony ends as quickly as it began. The priests retreat. The crowd disperses. The body is taken down with reverence, and you're left to descend the steps in silence, each one heavier than the last. Your legs tremble, not just from the climb, but from the weight of what you've seen. There's no therapy in this world, no safe space to unpack what sacrifice means. You just return to your tasks, as if spilling blood on sacred stone is as normal as cooking breakfast. Back at your hut, the midday sun is now at its most merciless. It presses down on everything with equal cruelty. Roof, soil, flesh. Your skin feels like it's being roasted in layers, and there's nowhere to hide. No fans, no cold drinks, not even a decent patch of shade. The trees near the village were cleared long ago for construction and fuel, and the jungle canopy is too far to matter now. You wrap a damp cloth around your neck and get back to work, because the day isn't over, not even close. This afternoon, you're assigned to repair part of the aqueduct that brings water from a nearby spring. It's not glamorous work, hauling stone, packing mud, reshaping channels carved from limestone, but it's critical. Without it, the maze dies. Without maize, the people starve. And if that happens, more blood will flow, this time not from volunteers. The aqueduct snakes through uneven terrain, climbing and dipping in ways that defy logic. You don't remember who built it, some genius long dead, but you know this. If it breaks, the gods will be angry. And angry gods are unpredictable. As you toil, soaked in sweat and covered in grime, your thoughts drift, not to dreams or ambitions, but to survival. You wonder how the nobility lives, in their elevated stone homes with wooden furniture and cloths dyed with crushed insects. Do they sweat like you? Do they work? Do they even know the taste of raw maize and smoke on a tongue gone dry? But you catch yourself. Thoughts like that lead nowhere. In this world, envy is not just dangerous, it's sinful. The gods put everyone in their place for a reason. Yours is here, bent over a crumbling stone channel, praying it holds through the next storm. When the sun finally begins to dip, the light softens, but the air remains stifling. The jungle exhales heat slowly, like it's reluctant to let go. And yet, this is the closest thing you get to relief. You wipe your hands, return your tools, and make your way back to the center of the village where the evening fire is being lit. Children chase one another barefoot, their laughter high and shrill. Old women crush cacao beans in stone bowls, mixing them into a bitter drink said to bring visions if taken under the right moon. The scent of roasted squash fills the air, and for a moment, the harshness of the day blurs into something that feels almost gentle. Almost. You eat in silence, crouched near the edge of the circle. Tonight's meal is hearty. Thanks to a successful hunt, there's some roasted peccary shared among families. It's chewy, smoky, and gone too fast. You savor every bite, not because you love the taste, but because you don't know when you'll eat meat again. Most nights, it's just more maize. Maize ground into paste, fried, boiled, mashed. If you're lucky, fermented into a sour, thick drink that numbs the hunger and makes you forget the ache in your shoulders. As darkness settles, the jungle begins to hum in a different tone. The day creatures sleep, the night creatures wake. You hear frogs, owls, and something that might be a jaguar far off, reminding you just how thin the line is between civilization and wilderness. In the Mayan world, night doesn't bring peace. It brings mystery, and often, fear. Shadows flicker from torches and families gather close, whispering stories of ancient gods who walk in dreams and ancestors who visit through firelight. But you're too tired to care. Your limbs ache in that deep, bone-level way that says tomorrow will hurt even more. You crawl into your hut, onto your mat, and try not to scratch the mosquito bites that now dot your arms like a second skin. You close your eyes and listen, to the drums, to the insects, to the thrum of a world where every star has a name, and every moment is watched by something ancient and powerful. And you wonder, not if you'll make it through tomorrow, but if you'll still remember who you are when you do. Sleep in the ancient Mayan world is a fragile agreement between your body and whatever gods are willing to grant you rest. It doesn't come easily, not when the air is thick as syrup and every surface clings to your skin. Your mat is still warm from the heat of the day and your body refuses to cool. The stars outside flicker between the tree branches, and even in darkness the jungle feels alive, watchful, breathing. There are no windows in your hut, just openings in the walls that allow the wind to move through, carrying with it the songs of nocturnal insects, the hoot of owls, and sometimes sounds you can't place. A low growl, a rustle, the echo of something enormous and unseen. Here night doesn't soothe, it stalks. Your dreams are not your own. The priests say they are messages, visions sent by gods or ancestors. If you dream of water, it means harvest, fire, conflict, death. Well, that depends. Was it your death or someone else's? Did the face in your dream wear feathers or bone? Each morning begins with questions like these. You wake up more tired than you were the night before, mind haunted by images of eyes that glowed like amber and temples built on bones. But there's no time to reflect. Not when dawn means duty. The village stirs with the slow rhythm of routine. Smoke rises once again as the first fires are lit, and the day begins not with leisure, but with obligation. You're expected to report to the workshop today, a structure shaded by woven canopies and busy with hands that never stop moving. This is where tools are shaped, baskets woven, dyes mixed, and ceramic vessels painted with intricate scenes of gods and legends. You don't choose your station here. You're assigned based on lineage, skill, and what the priesthood deems appropriate. For you, it's carrying finished goods to the market, a task that sounds simple until you're 3 trips deep into the jungle city, arms full of fragile clay pots, dodging children, dogs, and nobles who won't hesitate to strike a commoner for getting in the way. The city is a marvel, rising above the jungle like a vision from a fever dream. Towers and temples of stone and lime, detailed with carvings that seem to move when the sunlight shifts. Walls tell stories in glyphs you can't read but understand instinctively. Tales of battles, kings, gods descending from the heavens, jaguars that spoke, serpents that swallowed the sky. The people here move with purpose. Scribes in fine cotton pass by with bundles of bark paper scrolls. Merchants shout over stalls piled with feathers, obsidian blades, carved idols, and bitter cacao. Musicians perform near the plazas, their flutes mimicking the calls of birds long extinct. But you're not here to admire. You're here to deliver. You arrive at the artisan stall, a shaded space under a palm frond canopy where color dances in every corner. The pottery here is immaculate, painted with red and black, depicting ceremonies you've witnessed and some you hope you never will. The merchant takes your cargo with a nod, then hands you a token, an etched piece of shell to confirm delivery. It will go into a ledger, kept by a scribe who will later tally your work for the week. But don't mistake this for pay. You aren't earning wealth. You're earning continued existence. On your way back, you pass a plaza where a crowd gathers around a storyteller. He stands atop a stone bench painted in blue, his voice rising and falling like a drumbeat. He speaks of the hero twins, mythical brothers who challenged the gods of the underworld in a game of pock-to-pock and outwitted death itself. The children watch with wide eyes, mouths open in awe. You pause just long enough to hear the part where the twins become the sun and moon, forever chasing each other across the sky. Then a shout from the guard reminds you that loitering is frowned upon. Time to move. Afternoon brings another task. This time hauling limestone to the construction site of a new observatory. The priests believe a major celestial event is coming soon, something involving Venus, and the temple must be ready. The work is brutal. You join a line of laborers pulling heavy sledges along logs rolled over muddy ground, pushing with every ounce of strength as sweat pours down your back and your lungs feel like they're coated in ash. The overseer shouts cadence. "Push! Again! Push!" It echoes through the clearing like thunder. You don't speak. No one does. You just move. By the time the sun dips low, your body is a map of aches and grime. There's no relief, no bathhouse. Instead, you walk with others toward a cenote just outside the city. This one is considered blessed, used by commoners under strict guidelines. You step into the water carefully, the stone edge slippery beneath your feet. The chill shocks your senses, but it's welcome. You rinse the dirt from your skin, let the water sting your blisters, and for a brief moment, you feel clean. Not fresh, not healed, just not filthy. And that's good enough. Back in the village, a small feast is taking place. A family has returned from a successful cacao trade expedition, and they've prepared a communal dish. Turkey stewed with herbs and chili. It's rich, aromatic, and spicy enough to burn your throat. You sit with others around a low fire, passing bowls, laughing softly, retelling the day's hardest moments like war stories. For a flicker of time, it almost feels like community, like peace. But then someone mentions the priest's prophecy, that the stars are aligning, that a change is coming, that the gods might demand more. Eyes darken, bowls are emptied, and the laughter fades like smoke. You sleep that night with the taste of ash still in your mouth. Dreams return, strange, sharp, full of teeth and feathers and shadows that stretch further than they should. And in your chest a quiet certainty grows tomorrow will be harder. Morning doesn't arrive, it attacks. A sudden burst of golden light pierces the cracks in your hut and lands directly on your face like a god's personal spotlight. Your back is sore from yesterday's labor. Your arms ache as if they've been twisted in sleep, and your feet throb from the sharp terrain and endless walking. Still, you rise, because here, no one waits for you. The sun climbs fast, and falling behind is a luxury only the dead can afford. Today is different. The village is buzzing, louder than usual. Voices are sharper, footsteps quicker, and there's an energy you can feel in your teeth. It's the day of the ball game, a sacred event that's part sport, part ritual, part public judgment. In the world of the Maya, Pock to Pock isn't just entertainment. It's symbolic warfare, a cosmic performance where victory pleases the gods and failure may cost more than pride. You're not playing, thank the gods, but you're expected to attend. Participation, after all, doesn't always mean action. Sometimes being a witness is a responsibility in itself. The court is carved deep between two towering stone walls, shaped like a capital I, with carved rings high above either side. You arrive as the priests complete the field's blessing, sprinkling crimson powder and burning herbs whose smoke carries prayers to the sky. The stands are crowded. Farmers, artisans, children, elders, all packed together, eyes fixed on the dusty field below. The players enter wearing leather and padding made from bark and hardened cotton, their faces painted, their limbs wrapped tight to prevent breakage. Their goal? Move a solid rubber ball, heavy as a small boulder, without using hands or feet, just hips, shoulders, and strategy. The game begins with a strike so powerful it echoes through the plaza like a gunshot. Dust rises, cheers erupt. The ball ricochets wildly, bouncing off stone and bodies alike. Players collide, tumble, twist, and launch the ball skyward with a grunt and spin that defies logic. It's violent, beautiful, controlled chaos. But beneath the shouting and sweat, there's a darker undercurrent. Because while not every game ends in death, today's might. Word spreads quickly. One of the teams is composed of captives, defeated warriors from a rival city. And if they lose, the penalty is more than humiliation. It's sacrifice. You shift uncomfortably. Not because of sympathy, you've been raised to believe this is necessary, but because part of you wonders what it must feel like to play, knowing the outcome might be your own execution. To fight for your life in front of cheering strangers and painted priests. It's not a question anyone dares to ask aloud. The game reaches its peak as one player leaps, defying gravity, twisting midair, and slamming the ball through the narrow stone ring. The crowd explodes. The priests step forward. The losing team is escorted from the court. Some look resigned. Others, not so much. There's no trial, no appeal, just fate and faith. The ceremony that follows is swift and elaborate. The captives are honored before their offering, dressed in ceremonial garments and marked with sacred paint. You can't see everything from where you stand, but you hear the chants, the sound of flutes, and then silence, heavy and sudden. The rituals end. The gods are satisfied. For now. As the crowd disperses, you feel a chill despite the relentless sun. The ballgame is over, but its weight lingers. Not because it was brutal, but because it was necessary. In this world, sacrifice isn't cruelty. It's cosmic maintenance. Without it, the stars might fall out of rhythm, the rain might stop, or worse, the underworld might spill into reality. After the game, the village returns to its routines. You are sent to help construct ceremonial altars near the edge of the forest. These are not for public events, they're private, used by families to honor ancestors. Each stone is engraved with glyphs representing names, deeds, and dreams long gone. The work is quieter now, reverent. You carve, not just with tools, but with care. These altars are more than monuments. They're passports to the afterlife. A soul without remembrance is a soul lost to the void. Later, as you deliver offerings, flowers, carved jade beads, and dried honey, you pass by a healer's hut. A woman lies inside, her skin pale, her breath shallow. She's surrounded by herbs, bones, and ash. A medicine worker chants, mixing pastes from crushed beetles, wild roots, and powdered shells. He waves smoke over her body, whispering to spirits you cannot see. He's skilled, respected even, but his hands shake. This sickness isn't ordinary. It's something worse, something that spreads. Rumors have already begun. Curses, spirits, an imbalance. The kind of whispers that make people light extra incense at night and avoid saying names after dark. You pause briefly, watching the healer draw glyphs in the ash around the bed. There's a pattern to it. Protection, warding, negotiation. You don't stay long. You don't want to be noticed. Illness here is more than physical. It's spiritual. And the moment the gods suspect weakness, the weight of your survival shifts. You return to your home late. Dinner is small, just ground maize and river herbs steamed in a gourd. There's no celebration tonight, just quiet. The children play softly. The adults murmur. Even the fire seems less lively. Everyone feels it. The tension, the expectation. Something's coming. And when you lie on your mat that night, staring at the beams of moonlight stretching across the ceiling, you realize that in the Mayan world, survival isn't just about food and water. It's about understanding the rhythms of a universe that doesn't explain itself, one that listens but rarely speaks, one that watches every choice you make. When morning comes, it doesn't feel like renewal. It feels like a continuation of whatever storm was brewing in the night. You step outside into air that's unnaturally still, like the jungle is holding its breath. The usual sounds, birds, insects, chatter, are muted, replaced by a low ambient tension you can't quite name. People walk slower today. Eyes dart more. Even the children seem quieter, their laughter kept beneath the surface like bubbles under pressure. Something is wrong, but no one will say it out loud. At the temple, smoke rises thick and heavy, curling above the stepped pyramid like a serpent trying to reach the gods. The priests have been in ceremony since dawn, their chants echoing in a strange rhythm that unsettles even the old ones who have seen everything. This is no ordinary offering. This is appeasement. A celestial alignment looms, Mars, Venus, and the crescent moon converging in a pattern last seen 2 generations ago. The scribes predicted it, the stargazers tracked it, and the priesthood declared it a time of judgment. Not punishment necessarily, but evaluation. A cosmic audit. And if the gods are displeased, their answers won't come in words. They'll come in drought, disease, or death. You're ordered to assist in gathering offerings, not the grand sacrifices made on temple altars, but the personal ones. Small carvings of jade, feathers from rare birds, cacao, and maize wrapped in hand-woven cloth. You and others carry them to the ceremonial fire, placing each one carefully while a priest walks behind, whispering blessings and watching for omens. It's not just about the gifts, it's about how they're given. Every gesture, every motion, must show respect. One wrong placement, one forgotten phrase, and the entire offering could be rejected. Later, you're sent to help prepare the ceremonial plaza. You sweep the stone floor with bundles of reeds, clearing away dirt, petals, and ash from earlier rites. It seems like a minor task, but here even sweeping is sacred. You're cleansing not just the space, but the energy, making way for divine presence. Every corner matters. Every pattern etched into the stone must be visible, every step precise. As you work, an elder approaches and ties a strip of red cloth around your wrist. A blessing, she says. Protection. You thank her without asking why she chose you. But her eyes linger a second too long, and when she walks away, your pulse won't calm down. Midday heat arrives like a punishment. The air shimmers, the stones burn, and your skin becomes a second oven. You're not allowed to leave yet. The final preparations for the echo ceremony are underway. A rare event where the high priest speaks into the sacred cave, listening for signs of the god's mood and how the sound returns. You've never witnessed one before. Few have. It's said that if the echo comes back sharp, the gods are angry. If it comes back delayed, they're amused. If there's no echo at all, the priests never finish that sentence. As the ceremony begins, the crowd gathers in tense silence. The priest kneels before the mouth of the cave, surrounded by incense, flowers, and carved totems. He speaks, not in the common tongue, but in an older language, one known only to the initiated. The words are low, rhythmic, deliberate. They fall into the cave like pebbles dropped into a well. Everyone leans forward, waiting, hoping, dreading. And then it comes. The echo, distant, slow, muffled, but present. A wave of breath moves through the crowd like a wind that finally arrived. The priest nods solemnly. The gods are listening, not wrathful, but watchful. Relief spreads, but it's short-lived. because listening gods still demand demonstration. Tonight, the entire village must participate in the ritual of renewal, a sweeping act of devotion involving chants, fire, fasting, and, for some, bloodletting. It's not punishment, it's gratitude. You return home briefly, instructed to wash in cool water and anoint yourself with fragrant leaves. Your family is already preparing. Your mother braids your hair with strands of white bark, a symbol of clarity. Your father sharpens a bone needle. He'll offer a drop of blood from his tongue, a tradition meant to honor ancestral sacrifice. You're not sure what you'll give yet, but everyone must give something. Night falls. The ceremony begins. The entire plaza glows with torchlight, and the air pulses with drums, flutes, and chants that loop endlessly, building a rhythm meant to unlock something spiritual. People dance in spirals, their bare feet slapping stone, their voices raised in gratitude and awe. The high priest walks through the crowd, flicking droplets of sacred water, his shadow twisting like a second self. At the center of the plaza, a great fire roars, fed constantly by young attendants tossing in bundles of herbs, feathers, and crushed minerals that change the flame's color with every offering. Red, blue, green, white, a dance of divine approval. When your turn comes, you approach the altar, your hands trembling despite the heat. You've chosen your offering, a small figurine carved from the jawbone of a fish you caught as a child. It means something to you, a memory of survival, a moment of pride. You place it gently into the fire, watching it vanish in a burst of orange and smoke. The priest nods, a subtle gesture, but one that says, accepted. Others give blood, pricking their ears, tongues, or arms. The blood is not spilled onto the ground but collected, painted into sacred glyphs that shimmer under torchlight. You join the final chant, your voice hoarse, your body sore, but your heart strangely still. The ceremony ends only when the fire begins to die. And even then, people linger, kneeling, whispering private prayers, hoping their voices are heard before the gods turn their eyes elsewhere. You walk home barefoot, carrying the smoke on your skin and the rhythm in your veins. You lie down on your mat and feel your body sink into the earth. And for the first time in days, maybe weeks, sleep comes quickly, deeply, without fear. But dreams still find you. And this time, the gods speak. The dream didn't feel like a dream. It felt like memory, like stepping through a crack in the world and slipping into something older than yourself. You were standing in a field of stars, not under the sky but inside it, surrounded by constellations that pulsed like living creatures. And in the distance, towering above you, stood a structure that made the temples of your world seem small, a pyramid with steps so wide and steep that each one felt like a mountain. A voice called your name, though it wasn't a name you recognized, and when you turned to answer, the stars collapsed inward like they were being inhaled by some invisible god. Then you woke up, heart pounding, body slick with sweat, and an odd taste in your mouth that reminded you of metal and smoke. There was no time to interpret it. Morning came hard and fast, dragging you from that liminal state and tossing you back into reality. The scent of morning fires and wet earth greeted you, along with the weight of another day. Today you've been summoned to the northern edge of the city, to a tower few commoners are ever allowed to see. It's an observatory, or at least that's what the scribes call it. But it doesn't look like the rest of the city's buildings. It's curved like a shell, and carved with spirals and eyes that seem to follow you no matter where you stand. Only the priest astronomers enter without hesitation. Everyone else, including you, enters with a mixture of awe and dread. The path is steep, winding through narrow alleys and ancient corridors until you reach the top level where the observatory rests. The light filters through small openings in the stone, casting patterns on the floor that shift with the movement of the sun. This isn't just architecture, it's calculation. Every beam, every angle, every shadow serves a purpose. The priest who meets you is older than you expected, his back curved, his skin like weathered bark. He doesn't speak immediately. Instead, he leads you through a narrow hallway filled with symbols, most of which you don't recognize. Others, you do. Glyphs representing planets, days, fire, time. Time is everywhere here, etched into the walls, painted on the ceilings, counted in small black stones arranged in concentric circles on the floor. You're not here for ceremony. You're here to help clean, to remove dust from sacred glyphs, to polish the carved markers with a paste made from ground obsidian and tree sap. But even this task feels like trespassing. You're touching knowledge most people only glimpse from afar. The priest watches you work, silently, then finally speaks in a low, rasping tone. Do you know what this place sees? You don't answer. He continues. It sees when the sky opens, when the balance shifts, when what lies above becomes what lies within. You don't fully understand. You're not sure you want to. But his eyes pierce through the dim light like twin moons. He says no more after that, just turns away and leaves you to the silence of the stars. You finish your work by mid-afternoon. The heat is unrelenting, and your shirt clings to your back like damp moss. You exit the tower and descend back into the city, your mind spinning with thoughts you didn't expect to have. Every shadow now feels like a message, every gust of wind a whisper. You pass by a group of scribes etching new records into bark paper scrolls, their fingers stained with ink and sap. They're recording not only events but predictions, comets expected to return, eclipses to come, times of drought or war. History and prophecy are the same here. The past isn't behind you. It's beside you, walking the same path. In the market plaza, a crowd has formed around a street orator, young, vibrant, and wearing clothes dyed in shades you can't afford. He's telling the story of the celestial twins again, but this time with a twist. In his version, the twins do not ascend to the sky. They return to the earth, hiding their wisdom in stone, waiting for a generation brave enough to seek it. The children cheer, but the adults are more guarded. Changing the stories is dangerous. The gods don't always like creativity. You're reminded of a tale your grandmother once told you, of a young artisan who painted a forbidden symbol on the inside of a water vessel. It was beautiful, detailed, symmetrical, perfect. But the symbol belonged to a god no longer worshipped, and when the vessel was used in a ceremony, everything went wrong. The rain stopped, the crops withered, the artisan vanished. Some say he was taken, others say he became the god he invoked. Either way, the message was clear. Not all knowledge is meant to be used, and some beauty is a curse. That evening, you're called to assist with fire preparation for the Night Watch, a small group that guards the city against wild animals, forest spirits, and any physical threat that dares approach in darkness. You're not one of the guards, but you carry torches, fuel the flames, and make sure the signal fires are strong enough to be seen from every tower. The sky above is clear tonight, unusually so. Every star is bright, every constellation crisp. The moon hangs low, large, almost yellow. It feels close enough to touch. One of the Night Watch leaders nods toward it. It watches us more than the sun does, he says. The sun sees the surface, the moon sees secrets. You think about that as you make your way home, each step echoing against the quiet stones of the village paths. The fires behind you flicker steadily, but the silence of the world is louder than ever. You feel observed, but not by people. Something bigger, as if the very night itself is waiting for you to blink. When you finally lie down, your body is numb, but your mind refuses to sleep. You stare at the ceiling, tracing the shadows cast by your single torch, and then, without warning, you remember the dream. Not just the image of stars, but the voice. It called you something. Something unfamiliar, ancient. You mouth the word silently, unsure if it was ever real, and as you do, a gust of wind slips through the cracks in your wall. It smells like ash and flowers, and suddenly you know, tomorrow will not be like today. You awaken not to sound but to movement. A low, deep rumble trembles beneath your mat, a subtle shifting that feels more like breath than force. You hold still for a moment, half asleep, trying to determine if it was real or the tail end of a dream. But the clay pot beside your bed has shifted ever so slightly, and the hanging woven charms above the door are swaying with a rhythm not born from wind. Something stirred in the deep earth. And here, that's never just a coincidence. It's a message. Outside, the sky is overcast, thick gray and smeared with streaks of reddish clouds. A strange color, one that makes the animals restless. The dogs pace in wide circles. The birds have gone quiet. Even the insects seem confused, their usual songs warped and offbeat. The villagers move cautiously today. Not slowly, just carefully. Like every step might trigger something hiding just beneath the soil. You feel it too. That pressure. That hum in your chest that tells you nature is watching and might answer without warning. You're summoned early to assist in reinforcing the granary walls. A recent rain eroded the foundation, and there are whispers that another storm is coming. Not a normal storm, though. One of those that feels less like weather and more like judgment. So you spend the morning hauling stone, pressing clay into cracks, weaving thick reeds into barriers meant to block wind and water alike. The overseer is silent today, his usual bark reduced to brief gestures and sharp glances. Even he knows something is off. As you work, a child runs through the plaza screaming, not in fear, but excitement. She says she saw a jaguar, not in the jungle but near the sacred pool. A black one, eyes like fire. No one laughs. No one tells her she imagined it. Jaguars are messengers, and black jaguars especially are symbols of the underworld, night gods in fur and claw. If one has come to the village even briefly, it means change, or warning, or both. Midday comes, and with it, silence. A dense quiet that seems to suck the color from everything. The jungle pauses. The river stills. Not a single leaf dares to move. You break for food, boiled root vegetables and steamed greens, but the taste is hollow. You eat only because you must. Everyone sits in small groups, whispering stories from memory, from elders long past. Tales of when the earth opened before, when the temples cracked and the sky wept lightning. It's not panic. It's remembrance. As if by telling the stories, you're reinforcing the walls of reality itself. You're assigned next to the temple boundary, helping a small group of ritual assistants place stones in specific arrangements at the 4 cardinal points. The stones are not just markers. They are guardians, representations of balance between worlds: earth, sky, water, fire. Each direction calls upon a different god, a different spirit. North is cold and death. South, fertility and fire. East, the sun and rebirth. West, the realm of ancestors. As you place each stone, your hands tremble slightly. Not from exhaustion, but reverence, or perhaps fear. Because you realize now this isn't a ritual for celebration. It's a shield. A low thunder rolls across the sky, but no lightning follows. Just that long, guttural growl that feels like the sky is dragging its nails across the horizon. People glance up. No one speaks. You finish your placement and step back, heart hammering. The priest overseeing the ceremony nods, then instructs everyone to return home before dusk. Tonight is not a night for wandering. Back in your hut, your family prepares quietly. There's no feast. Just offerings, small plates of food set near the door, incense lit in corners, charms hung at every opening. Your mother places a bowl of water on the floor, its surface still as glass. It's an old tradition, one meant to reflect the presence of anything unseen. You've never seen it work, but tonight no one is taking chances. Dusk falls like a curtain. The light fades fast, faster than usual, swallowed by the thick clouds and the weight in the air. Torches are lit, but their flames sputter as if unsure whether to burn. You sit near the entrance, staring out into the darkness, listening to the jungle shift and moan. And then, deep in the distance, a sound like bones snapping beneath the earth. A quake, gentle but real. You feel it in your teeth, in the soles of your feet. A ripple, a reminder. Your sister starts to cry, but your father hushes her, pulling her close. He begins to hum. An old melody, one from before your memory, passed down from someone who likely never imagined it would reach this moment. You hum with him, not to chase the fear away, but to acknowledge it, to give it shape. Because in the Maya world, you don't ignore fear. You respect it. You speak to it. You offer it a seat beside the fire. Later, as the village quiets to near silence, you lie awake staring at the ceiling. Outside, thunder grumbles again. And then, without warning, a scream. Sharp, human, cut short. You jump up. So does everyone else. But no one dares leave. You wait, listening, breathing in shallow bursts. Minutes pass, then more. No follow-up, just the jungle, just the dark, just questions. You don't sleep after that. You rest, you close your eyes, but you don't dream. The morning after the scream is not like other mornings. It's quieter, heavier, as though the very soil is reluctant to accept your footsteps. The village wakes, but not fully. People move slower, their eyes scanning the treetops and shadows without purpose. No one mentions what they heard, not directly. There are no questions, just a new kind of tension, something unspoken, like the space between thunder and lightning. You rise from your mat with your body intact, but your spirit still tangled in the memories of a night that didn't fully end. And before you can think too much about it, you're called, again, to work. Today you're assigned to the Hall of Bones. That's not its official name, of course. The priests call it the Chamber of Legacy, a space deep within the city's temple complex where the remains of past leaders, scholars, and warriors are kept, preserved in stone niches or sealed urns, each with a story etched into its container. You've never been inside before. Few people have, but today, a storm has shifted part of the chamber's outer wall, and help is needed to reinforce it before the next quake finishes what nature started. The passage is narrow, cold, and lit only by thin slats of sunlight filtering through stone cuts in the ceiling. The walls are smooth at first, then carved, thousands of years of names and deeds, like the inside of a book only the gods can read. The air is dense with the scent of earth and incense, and beneath it all something else. Lime, rot, age. You carry clay bricks and fresh mortar on your back, walking past the remains of men and women who once shaped the laws and dreams of your people. You feel them watching, or remembering, maybe both. In the center of the chamber is an ossuary, an altar of bones fused into a single monument. Vertebrae, femurs, jawbones, and ribs, arranged like a staircase spiraling toward a jaguar skull that crowns the top like a crown. It is not grotesque. It is sacred. Every bone belongs to someone chosen, someone honored, someone whose life and death meant something. A nearby priest instructs you to bow, not as ceremony, but as protocol. This is a place of power. You obey. As you begin to seal the cracks in the far wall, your thoughts drift to the idea of legacy. Who gets remembered? Who gets carved into stone? You realize most people, even those who labor every day, bleed into the soil, raise children, carry stone, and feed the fires, will never be named here. Their bones will not rest in decorated urns. Their names will not be sung in moonlit rituals. And yet, without them, the chamber itself would collapse. You press clay into the fracture, firm, slow, deliberate. You may not be remembered, but the wall will hold. And maybe that's enough. After the work is complete, you're offered water and rest. Not far from the temple, a group of musicians gathers beneath a fig tree, playing slow rhythms on flutes made from deer bone and drums wrapped in jaguar skin. The music isn't for dance. It's for healing. A ritual sound meant to calm the body and quiet the spirits. You sit and listen, the notes wrapping around your ribs, relaxing muscles you didn't know were clenched. A small child offers you a drink, bitter, made from cacao and chili, thick and smoky. You sip it slowly, the heat from the peppers igniting your throat in the best way. Later, as part of the day's duties, you're sent to help with burial preparations for a merchant's wife who passed from a fever during the night. The ceremony is modest, but intentional. Her body is washed in cool water, wrapped in cotton dyed with indigo and marigold, and surrounded by the things she loved in life. Weaving tools, a carved comb, a folded scroll of poetry, and a small bowl of honey. Not for her, but for the gods who will weigh her soul. You help dig the grave, deep and square, lined with stones and sealed with prayer. The family does not wail. They sing. You begin to understand something that was never explained before. In the Maya world, death is not a defeat. It's a step forward, a shift, a transformation. It matters how you die, yes, but more than that, it matters how you are sent. If your spirit is guided, it moves on. If not, it lingers. And no one wants to become a whisper in the dark, a shape in someone else's nightmare. You watch as the priest marks the grave with a symbol made from ash and flower petals, then pours water on it slowly. The earth accepts it with a soft sigh. Evening creeps in as if sliding under your skin. The torches are lit one by one, and people gather near the central fire to tell stories. Not myths tonight, real stories. Personal ones. A hunter recalls the first time he faced a crocodile alone. A midwife speaks of the hardest birth she ever helped deliver. A woodworker shares the tale of his brother, who once carved a canoe so perfect it floated without ever tipping. And then someone turns to you and asks, "What will your story be?" You don't answer, not because you don't know, but because you're still writing it. Each moment, each scar, each whispered prayer and aching muscle is a sentence in a chapter not yet finished. So you smile, nod, and pass the bowl of sweet root mash to the next person. And when the fire burns low and the music fades into the sound of wind against palm leaves, you walk home barefoot, feeling each stone as a reminder. You are still here, still surviving, still part of the rhythm. Tonight, the dreams do not come. Instead, you lie awake beneath a sky so clear it hurts your eyes. Stars stretch from one end of the world to the other, and you think about the people who will live in your bones long after you're gone. The ones who will rebuild the walls you sealed, retell the stories you lived, and one day, maybe, just maybe, whisper your name back into the night. You begin to understand that not every part of the day is about movement. Some are about listening. Deep, uncomfortable, deliberate listening. Not to voices, but to the things people don't say. To the glances passed between elders at the communal fire. To the way a mother grips her child's wrist a little tighter when thunder rumbles in the distance. To how the birds vanish just before twilight. These silences are louder than any speech. And lately, they've grown more frequent, more urgent. Like the world itself is trying to warn you, but too much has already been said. So now, it waits to be heard without words. You wake before the sun, not because you want to, but because a horn sounds from the outer rim of the village. A signal not used for work, nor for gathering. It's the one used when someone's missing. A hunter, a forager, a child. You dress quickly, still bleary-eyed, and join the others who move with grim familiarity toward the council hut. The priests are already present, their robes damp with dew, their eyes sharper than the knives they carry hidden beneath their sashes. A man steps forward, young, strong, the kind who could wrestle a tree into the shape of a canoe. His brother hasn't returned. Left 2 nights ago to track a herd and never came back. No sign, no call, no blood, just gone. Disappearance in the jungle is not rare. The forest is alive and hungry. There are pits beneath the roots, snakes disguised as vines, spirits that live in the canopy and don't appreciate visitors. But the timing is strange. Too close to the storm, too close to the earthquake, too close to the scream no one admitted hearing. The priest offers no comfort, only a gesture. Searchers will go out. A ritual will be performed. If the gods demand a trade, so be it. If the man lives, he will return. If not, his soul must be retrieved. You are assigned to the search group, not because you asked, but because the lot was drawn and your name was etched on the shell. There's no refusing. You pack lightly, just a stone knife, dried maize wrapped in cloth, and a charm your mother ties around your wrist without a word. She kisses your forehead, something she hasn't done since you were a child, and tells you, walk with eyes open, speak only when spoken to. And if the trees begin to hum, run. The jungle welcomes no one. It accepts, occasionally. It observes, always. The heat under its canopy is thick and wet, the kind that sticks to your lungs and turns breath into labor. You walk for hours in silence, following trails barely wide enough for your foot. The ground shifts. Roots tangle around your ankles like hands trying to pull you down. Mosquitoes hover like spirits, whispering curses in your ears. At one point, a guide stops and presses his ear to the ground. You all pause. He listens, then shakes his head. Nothing, which is worse than something. By mid-afternoon, you come across something. Not a body, not tracks, a clearing. And in the center, stones, stacked carefully, intentionally. A shrine, maybe, or a warning. The arrangement is strange. 5 stones forming a circle, one in the center, marked with blood too fresh to have come from animals. There are feathers too, black, wet, tied with human hair. No one speaks. One of the older men begins a chant under his breath, a protective verse. You turn back, quickly. The return walk is even quieter, as if the trees now know you've seen something you shouldn't. The air presses harder. The wind grows colder despite the sun. And when you return to the village, the sky breaks open. Rain falls not like water, but like stones. Heavy, unrelenting, deafening. People run. Fires are drowned. Roofs leak. Offerings wash away. It's as though the world is scrubbing itself clean. You sit under a canopy, soaked to your bones, and wonder if this is a punishment or a gift. You wonder if the missing man was the price. That evening, the priests call for a silence night. No music, no stories, no meals after sundown. Just stillness. A gesture of humility, a way to let the gods speak without interruption. The fire is dim. The children are confused. But everyone obeys. You sit cross-legged in your hut, eyes fixed on the floor, mind swimming with images you can't erase. Stones, feathers, blood, echoes. The rain continues, but more gently now, as though it's listening too. Sometime after midnight, you hear a knock. Not a fist, not a hand. A knock like stone tapping stone. 3 times. Then nothing. You wait. You breathe. You don't open the door. In the morning, there's no sign of anything. No footprints, no marks. Just a line of maize kernels arranged in a spiral at your doorstep. You collect them one by one, hands shaking. You place them in a bowl and cover it with cloth. You don't tell anyone. Some things aren't meant to be shared. That day the sun returns with such intensity that the earth steams. The village breathes again, cautiously. Children resume play. Water is poured from jars, not the sky. But the silence hasn't fully left. It lingers at the edges, in corners, in shadows. A reminder that the gods are not gone. They're just watching, waiting, measuring. And you begin to realize the true meaning of your life here. Not to be seen, not to be remembered, but to hold the line, to keep the balance, to stay standing while the world shifts beneath your feet. As night falls again, you light a small candle made of animal fat and crushed pigment, not for light, but for focus. You kneel, you close your eyes, and you whisper to the darkness, I see you. I'm still here. The final day arrives not with fanfare or fire, but with the sound of wind threading through the trees in a way that feels different. There's no earthquake, no scream, no priest shouting omens into the dawn, just a stillness that feels less like peace and more like the space between inhale and exhale. The kind of quiet that demands your full attention, not because it is threatening, but because it is sacred. Today is the festival of returning light, a ceremony rarely held, only when the calendar's interlocking wheels reach a very specific, very rare alignment. Some villages go decades without seeing one. You are lucky, or unlucky, enough to witness it now. The entire city begins preparing from sunrise, not with stress but with urgency. Every mat is scrubbed, every altar polished. Offerings are doubled, fires lit. The air smells of citrus, copal, and roasted maize. The high priest himself walks among the people, scattering salt and flower petals, stopping occasionally to bless a home or whisper something only the gods and the listener will ever understand. You are summoned, not to build or carry or clean, but to speak. Not a speech, a recitation, a declaration of presence. You are led to a raised platform near the central plaza, not alone, but as part of a group of citizens chosen at random. Each of you is to state your name, your lineage, and what you've contributed to the city since the last cycle, not to impress, but to witness yourselves, because the Maya believe that being seen, truly seen by your community and your gods, is as vital to the soul as water is to the body. You stand in line, heart pounding, hands damp. When your turn comes, you speak your name clearly. You mention the walls you helped repair, the food you carried, the fire you fed. It's not grand, but it's true. And the moment you step down, you feel something change. Not in the sky, in you. For the first time in your life, you are not just surviving. You are part of the story. That night, the final ceremony begins with a procession. Hundreds of people carrying torches, drums, painted fans, carved masks. They move in a spiral through the city streets, circling the temples, the granaries, the observatories. Music builds and breaks and builds again, echoing off the stone. Sparks fly from the torches. 1,000 feet stomp in rhythm. And at the center of it all, a single flame, tended by the high priest, waiting to receive the last offering of the cycle. You're handed a small stone. It's unmarked, smooth, carved not for beauty, but for weight. You are told to hold it until the final chant, and when the moment comes, the priest raises his staff, the crowd falls silent, and the flame grows tall, reaching higher than it should, like it's been waiting all year to breathe. You step forward, so does everyone else. One by one, the stones are tossed into the fire, where they vanish in cracks of heat and light. The smoke rises in twisting spirals. It doesn't go straight up. It curls, dances, pauses, and then slowly ascends. And then the music returns, louder, faster, not celebratory but affirming. The people dance not for joy but for survival, for hope, for the sheer fact that they're still here, that the gods haven't turned away, that the story will continue. You dance too, feet raw, arms tired, body sore from weeks, months, years of labor that no one wrote down but everyone remembers. And in that moment, you understand something elemental. The Maya world doesn't revolve around greatness. It revolves around continuity. You are not a hero, you are a thread. And without you, the fabric would tear. As the festival winds down and people return home with smoke in their hair and soot on their cheeks, you sit by your doorway, watching the stars reappear one by one. The sky is clear. The air is light. Somewhere in the distance, a flute still plays. And as you exhale, you realize you've done what most couldn't. You made it through one full day in the ancient Maya world. And not just that. You lived it. And now here we are, you and I, back in the present. You've just stepped out of an ancient life, one heartbeat at a time. You've seen the rituals, felt the dust in your lungs, watched the stars move over stone pyramids that still exist today, though half swallowed by jungle and time. And if you're still with me, if you made it all the way to this moment, I want to say something important. Thank you. Truly. You've done more than watch. You've remembered. And in the Maya tradition, memory is sacred. So if this journey meant something to you, if you learned, or felt, or just lost yourself in the story for a while, please consider subscribing. Not because the algorithm demands it, but because this space, this little community we're building here, grows with each person who says, yes, I want to go back in time with you again. Hit that button not for me, but for the next story we'll travel through together. And in the comments, tell me your thoughts. Did this world surprise you? Did it challenge what you imagined? What part stayed with you the most? Share your stories. Share your feelings. Let this not just be a video you watched, but a memory you helped carry forward. Because every time you engage, you're not just supporting a channel. You're continuing a tradition far older than any of us, the act of remembering together. Until next time, walk with eyes open, speak when it matters, and always, always listen when the earth speaks.